The silent ship. Commander Celia Vorn had seen many strange things in her 40 cycles patrolling the outer drift. Derelict vessels from forgotten wars, asteroid colonies abandoned mid-construction, even a moon that turned out to be an ancient generation ship. But nothing prepared her for the human vessel. It hung in the void like a metal corpse, dark and lifeless. Her scanners registered no power, no heat signatures, no movement. Yet something about its design spoke of terrible purpose. Angular where most ships curved, brutal where others flowed, it looked less like a spacecraft and more like a weapon someone had carved from raw hatred. "Approach with caution," she ordered her crew. The bridge of the harmonious dawn hummed with nervous energy. Her first officer, Tex, clicked his mandibles anxiously. "Captain, the database identifies this as a human military vessel. Class designation, Dreadnought. Age, approximately 3,000 standard cycles." 3,000 cycles. Humanity had been extinct for nearly that long. Their empire collapsed in a war so devastating that the galaxy still bore the scars. Quarantine zones. Dead systems. Planets where nothing would grow for another 10,000 years. The humans had nearly destroyed everything in their final madness, and the 7 races had spent centuries erasing every trace of them from existence. Except this ship had survived. "Any weapons active?" Celia kept her voice steady. "Negative. The ship appears completely dead." "But Captain..." Tex hesitated. "The hull composition is remarkable. Our scans barely penetrate it. Whatever alloy they used, it's unlike anything in our archives. Prepare a boarding team. I want to know what's inside." The airlock breach took an hour. Human engineering resisted their cutting tools with stubborn efficiency, yielding only after repeated attempts. When Celia's team finally entered, their helmet lights swept across a corridor that looked like it had been frozen in time. Everything was oversized. The humans had been tall, she knew from historical records, but experiencing the scale firsthand was unsettling. Doorways loomed. Corridors stretched vast and empty. Even the handrails were positioned higher than comfortable. "This way," she said, following her scanner's map toward what appeared to be the bridge. They found the first body in a maintenance shaft. Or rather, what remained of one. The environmental suit had preserved some features, but 3 millennia had reduced the occupant to little more than bones and dust. Celia knelt beside it, studying the tools scattered nearby. "They died trying to fix something," she murmured. The bridge was worse. 17 bodies sat at their stations, still strapped into their chairs. The emergency lighting had failed, leaving them in darkness broken only by the away team's lamps. Celia approached the command chair slowly, respectfully. The humans seated their still wore insignia on their uniform. "Captain, probably. The one who'd commanded this vessel to its doom." "Tex, can we access their computer systems?" "I'll try, but human technology was notoriously incompatible with ours. They designed everything to be..." He searched for the word. "Aggressive. Even their data storage." While her technical team worked on the computers, Celia explored. She found crew quarters, each small room containing personal effects frozen in time. Pictures of loved ones. Books in human languages. Small tokens and trinkets that spoke of individual lives, individual hopes. These weren't monsters, she realized. Just people. People who died alone in the dark. "Captain." Tex's voice crackled over the comm. "We've accessed their logs. You need to hear this." The recording was old, corrupted, but intelligible. A male voice, heavy with exhaustion and something deeper. Despair, perhaps. "This is Captain Marcus Webb of the UES Vengeance. Final log entry. Stardate, doesn't matter anymore. We failed." A long pause, filled with the sound of distant alarms and failing systems. "When the war started, we thought we were protecting humanity. Thought we were the heroes. We were so sure the collective meant to destroy us, to erase our species from existence. Maybe they did. Maybe we were right. But in fighting them, we became something worse. Another pause. Breathing, labored and ragged. We glassed 17 worlds. Billions dead. And for what? They glassed 18 of ours. The spiral just kept going, deeper and deeper, until there was nothing left but ash and rage and the certainty that someone had to pay. The voice cracked. My crew, my beautiful, brave crew, they stayed loyal to the end. Even when we knew humanity was dying. Even when the orders stopped coming. Even when every rational part of our minds screamed that we should surrender, should stop, should end this madness. We kept fighting because we didn't know how to stop. Silence stretched. Then, quietly. To whoever finds this, we're sorry. We're so desperately sorry. We thought we were saving something worth saving, but we destroyed it trying. If any humans survive, if any fragment of our species remains somewhere in the galaxy, tell them we didn't mean to burn everything. Tell them we were just scared. The recording ended. Celia stood in the darkness of the human bridge, surrounded by the dead, and felt something shift in her understanding. History painted humans as monsters, as genocidal lunatics who'd nearly destroyed the galaxy in their death throes. But these logs told a different story. A story of people trapped in a cycle of violence, unable to see a way out, dying not in glory but in tragic, pointless waste. Captain, Tex approached cautiously. There's something else. In the engineering section. You should see it. They descended through dark corridors, past more bodies, more frozen moments of lives interrupted. The engineering bay was massive, dominating the ship's core. And there, against the far wall, they found it. A stasis pod. Still active. Still powered by some backup system that had survived 3,000 years when everything else had failed. Is someone inside? Celia's voice was barely a whisper. Tex checked his scanner. Yes. Life signs are faint but stable. Captain, there's a human in there. Alive. The galaxy held its breath. 3,000 years of history said humans were extinct, their final war a cautionary tale told to children. But here, frozen in time, impossibly, miraculously, one remained. Celia made her decision. Bring the pod aboard the Harmonious Dawn. Carefully. Whatever else humans were, whoever this person was, they deserve better than dying alone in the dark. As her team carefully transported the stasis pod back to their ship, Celia couldn't shake Captain Webb's final words. We were just scared. Fear, she thought, was the galaxy's oldest poison. It had nearly destroyed everything once before. She wouldn't let it destroy what might be the last chance for redemption. Awakening. The revival process took 3 days. Celia watched from the medical bay's observation window as her doctors worked, their movements careful and precise. The human in the pod was female, young by human standards according to the records. Maybe 25 standard cycles. She'd been someone's daughter, perhaps someone's friend. Now she was the last of her kind. Dr. Malice, the Harmonious Dawn's chief medical officer, emerged from the revival chamber looking exhausted but satisfied. She's stable. The stasis technology was remarkable, there's no cellular damage, no cognitive degradation. Physically, she's as healthy as the day she entered the pod. Mentally? Celia asked. Malice's expression darkened. That's harder to predict. She's going to wake up to find her entire species extinct, her civilization dust, her world lost. No medical training in the galaxy prepares anyone for that conversation. The human woke that evening. Celia was present, along with Tex and a minimal security detail. Not because she expected violence, but because protocol demanded it. 3,000 years of propaganda about human aggression didn't evaporate overnight. The woman's eyes opened slowly, confusion giving way to awareness. She tried to speak, coughed, tried again. Her voice was rough from disuse. Where am I? Celia stepped forward, hands open and empty. You're aboard the Harmonious Dawn, a patrol vessel of the Galactic Concordance. You're safe. My name is Commander Celia Vorn. The human struggled to sit up. Malice moved to help her, and to everyone's credit, she didn't flinch from the alien contact. Her eyes swept the room, taking in the non-human faces, the strange technology, the impossible reality of her situation. How long? Her voice was steadier now. How long was I in stasis? Celia had rehearsed this moment, but no preparation made it easier. 3,000 years, approximately. We found your ship drifting in the outer drift. You were the only survivor. The human's face went through several expressions too quickly to identify. Then, with remarkable composure, she said, "My name is Dr. Kira Chen. I was the Vengeance's chief engineer." She paused. What happened to Earth? I'm sorry, Celia said quietly. Earth was destroyed in the final stages of the war. There were no survivors. Kira absorbed this without crying, without screaming, without any of the reactions Celia had anticipated. Instead, she simply nodded once, as if confirming something she'd already known. We were losing when I went into stasis. Captain Webb ordered me into the pod, said engineers were too valuable to waste. I refused, but... She smiled sadly. He gassed the pod before sealing it. Didn't give me a choice. He saved your life. He saved something, Kira agreed. Whether it was worth saving remains to be seen. Over the following weeks, Kira proved remarkably adaptable. She learned the common galactic language with shocking speed, her mind absorbing information at a pace that reminded everyone why humans had been so formidable. She asked endless questions about the current state of the galaxy, about the 7 races, about the history she'd missed. She never asked to be returned to Earth. There was nothing there but radiation and memories. One evening, Celia found her in the observation deck, staring at the stars. I've been studying your ship's database, Kira said without preamble. Learning about the war. The real story, not the propaganda we were fed. What do you think? Celia joined her at the viewport. I think we were idiots. Kira's voice was flat. Both sides. Your people saw aggression in every human action. My people saw betrayal in every alien gesture. We were so convinced the other wanted war that we made it inevitable. There were legitimate grievances, Celia offered. There always are. That's not the same as justifying genocide. Kira turned to face her. The database says humans are extinct. But I'm here. That means extinction isn't quite complete. You're one person. I'm one engineer. Kira's smile was sharp. Do you know what we were working on before the end? Before everything fell apart? We were developing something incredible. A terraforming system that could restore dead worlds in decades instead of millennia. We'd tested it, knew it worked, but never got to deploy it because we were too busy destroying each other. Celia felt something stir. Hope, perhaps. Or its cautious cousin. The quarantine zones, she said slowly. The dead worlds left from the war. They've been sterile for 3,000 years. Nothing grows, nothing lives. We've tried to restore them, but the damage is too severe. Let me see the data on one, Kira said. Just one. Give me access to your engineering databases and 3 months. I'll show you what humans can build when we're not busy destroying things. It took convincing. The Galactic Concordance didn't trust easily, and trusting a human was asking for a leap of faith that many weren't ready to make. But Celia argued, and eventually, permission was granted. Kira was given a laboratory, access to fabrication equipment, and 3 months to prove herself. She needed 2. The device she built was small enough to hold in both hands, but its implications were staggering. Celia watched from the observation shuttle as Kira deployed it on Talos 4, a world that had been dead since the war. The device sank into the poisoned soil, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground began to change. Toxic compounds broke down into harmless elements. Radiation levels plummeted. The gray dust of death transformed into rich, dark soil. Within hours, the first green shoots appeared. Within days, the dead zone was blooming. How? Tex whispered, his mandibles slack with shock. Kira stood beside them, watching her creation work with an expression Celia couldn't read. Pride, maybe. Or grief for what could have been if her people had built instead of destroyed. Nanoscale processors, Kira explained. They convert toxic elements at the molecular level, using the planet's own radiation as a power source. Once started, the process is self-sustaining. Within a year, this world will be fully habitable again. Celia turned to her. You could save dozens of worlds. Hundreds. All the damage from the war. I know. Kira met her gaze. That's why I want to do it. Not to redeem humanity, we're beyond redemption. But maybe I can leave something better than ashes. Maybe I can prove we were capable of more than destruction. The news spread quickly. The last human, building instead of destroying. Healing instead of hurting. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. Kira became something unprecedented, a human welcomed in galactic space. She traveled from dead world to dead world, deploying her restoration devices, teaching others the technology, refusing payment beyond what she needed to survive. Why? Celia asked her once, years later, as they watched another dead world bloom with life. Kira was older now, gray threading through her dark hair. But her eyes still held that fierce determination that had let her survive 3 millennia alone. Because I'm the last engineer, she said simply. And engineers build things. It's what we do. It's what we've always done, when we're at our best. I can't bring back my species, can't undo the war, can't change history. But I can build a future where the dead live again, where something grows in the ashes. She smiled, watching seeds take root in soil that had been poisoned for 3,000 years. That's enough. That has to be enough. And it was.